Have you ever wondered why so many relationships end badly? Why, if we start with excitement, do we end up feeling trapped, disappointed, or even hurt? And what role do we play in all of this? In psychology, it has been observed that a large part of therapeutic consultations revolve around heartbreak, relationships that break down, or simply do not work. Love, as we experience it in many Western cultures, can become a source of deep suffering. What if the problem is not so much love itself, but how we understand and experience it? Today, we are going to talk about couples, and we will do so from a reflective, realistic, and empathetic approach. Of course, when we say couple, we refer to the relationship between two people, regardless of their gender. Many of the conflicts that arise in a relationship have their roots in something very human. We project our needs, fears, or illusions onto the other. Sometimes we enter a relationship because we are physically attracted to the other person, because we do not want to be alone, or because we believe that being in a couple will give our lives more meaning. But if those are the only ingredients of the bond, the dish is doomed to lack flavor, or to leave a bad taste in our mouths. A couple is made up of two people. Two, and both are involved, both in successes and in mistakes. A relationship suffers if one of the two accepts things they should not tolerate, or if the other repeatedly disrespects them. After a breakup, there are two paths: look the other way, or dare to reflect. And if you choose to reflect, you can grow, get to know yourself better, and evolve. So, is a separation really a failure? From psychology, understood as a path of development, the answer is clear. It is not, if that experience becomes a learning opportunity and not an emotional blockage. No one, and I repeat, no one, has the right to treat you badly. And even less so that person with whom you decided to share your life, even if only for a time. Phrases like, "until death do us part," have caused a lot of harm. They have become chains that prevent letting go of relationships that no longer make sense, that generate guilt in those who decide to leave, and that perpetuate bonds that only bring wear and tear. If something is not working, the healthiest thing is to review it and, if necessary, change it. There are people who at one moment seemed to fit as a couple, and later you see that it is not so. And that does not mean you failed. It means you are alive, that you are learning. Because evolving as a person also involves making mistakes, trying, adjusting. Like in a laboratory, except here the experiment is you, your life, and your ability to love better. It is not about giving up quickly. It is about looking beyond the superficial and understanding what those deep elements are that can make a relationship truly work. And if we are clear about them, why not put them into practice? To be alone or in a couple, what is better? The truth is that it's not about choosing one option as if it were a renunciation of the other, because the ideal and the healthiest is that both coexist. Being with someone shouldn't mean giving up on oneself. On the contrary, sharing life with another person makes sense when that union adds, not when it subtracts. And here comes a big question. What do successful couples do differently? Those that, in addition to love, breathe calm, trust, joy, and a deep sense of fulfillment. What characterizes them? Because loving is not simply caring a lot for someone. It involves opening your world to another person, letting them in. And that, for many, feels like a risk. The risk of losing, of failing, of feeling pain again. But it is also an immense opportunity for growth and authentic connection. One of the most important factors observed in stable and happy couples is this. Both people enjoy their solitude. Yes, really. They are capable of being with themselves. They value their space. They feel at peace in their own company. They do not come together to fill emotional voids they have carried since childhood. They do not seek a crutch to support them, but rather a travel companion. Because when two complete people decide to share, what arises from that union is exponential, fulfillment, joy, expansion. And yet, there is something that is very hard to accept due to the culture we have grown up in. that emotional independence is a foundation of healthy love. We are not talking about coldness or distance, but about not clinging to the other out of need, as if without him or her you couldn't move forward. That way of needing the other from the most intense attachment is often more of an emotional addiction than real love. And like any addiction, it ends up corrupting. We want to share, of course. We want to miss the other when they are not around. We want to choose them every day, but not from desperation, but from freedom. Because extreme attachment disconnects us from our autonomy and opens the door to fear. Fear of losing, of not being enough, of being left alone. And when fear enters, the relationship becomes fragile, tense, dependent. That's why one of the healthiest, though uncommon phrases someone can say in a relationship is, "I choose you. I decide to be with you, but I don't need you." And yes, I know, we are not used to hearing that. In fact, there are people who might feel offended if their partner said it. How can you say you don't need me? But in reality, it is one of the deepest declarations of conscious and free love that exists. What if love wasn't for everyone? What if truly loving required something more than just feeling? Loving is for the brave. Not because fear doesn't exist, but because you have to face it even when everything inside is trembling. It is to surrender to the bond with enjoyment and presence, even knowing that life changes, that everything can transform, that nothing is forever. It is to love while letting go of the weight of the phrase, "At any moment they can leave me." And still, decide to stay, choose to trust. Because when you open yourself to real love, you expose the most vulnerable part of yourself. You show your fears, your wounds, your deepest longings. But there lies the strength, not in shielding yourself, but in allowing yourself to be seen as you are, even if deep down, your heart trembles. And here comes a great truth. Love by itself is not enough for a couple to function. There can be love and, at the same time, a huge distance between how two people see life. In a couple, there will be agreements and many disagreements. And that is completely normal. It is not about agreeing on everything, but about learning to coexist with differences. But when those differences affect the pillars on which life is built, things change. Think about this. One loves routine, the other adventure. One seeks stability, the other adrenaline. One wants to grow constantly, the other doesn't want to move from their spot. One is passionate about traveling or the nomadic life in a camper. The other can't stand the thought of sleeping away from home. One lives for music, the other hates it. One has a deep spirituality, the other is driven only by the material. They may seem like insignificant details, but they are not. Because behind each of those examples is a way of looking at the world, of enjoying time, of giving meaning to existence. And if that vision is too different, love is not enough. No matter how much romanticism there is, if there is no deep compatibility in the way of understanding life, what will arise are conflicts, clashes, frustration. Because each person follows an internal compass, their principles and values. And here lies the key. A solid couple shares that compass. Principles are those beliefs that guide our ethical and moral decisions. Values are those lights that orient the path we choose to follow. Respect, honesty, freedom, humor, loyalty. Each one knows which are essential for themselves. When both share that foundation in a relationship, something very powerful is created, a sense of deep alignment. Not only because they understand each other better, but because they feel they are walking in the same direction. And in difficult moments, it is that underlying coherence that sustains the bond, like a common anchor that keeps the ship steady in the midst of the storm. That is why, every so often, it is worth asking oneself, what values are guiding my life today? Are they still the same, and those of the person I'm with? Because we change, we evolve. What matters to you today may not have mattered a year ago. Perhaps yesterday you didn't play sports, and now it's part of your identity. What focuses you, what gives you meaning, transforms. And if your priorities change and your partners do not, sooner or later there will be a disconnect. It's not about negotiating the essentials. The essentials are non-negotiable. If one lives to help others and the other is not even minimally sensitized to that, there will be conflict. Not because one is right and the other is wrong, but because they are not on the same frequency. In a healthy relationship, there is a kind of emotional echo, a harmony that makes us indignant about the same things, that resonates with the same ideals, that views life from the same shore. What do successful couples have in common? There are certain elements that, when present, make a difference. And no, it's not magic or luck. It's connection, awareness, and above all, choice. Let's take a look at some of these essential ingredients. 1. Desire and attraction. When there's a genuine desire to be with the other, it shows. It's that I like you, not just said but felt. Desire is that internal spark that drives you to seek closeness, to share, to touch, to laugh, to look. Sometimes we don't even know why someone attracts us. We just know we want to be there. And attraction is that magnet that goes beyond the physical. Yes, it can start with a glance, with the way someone moves, with a smile. But what really sustains it is the emotional, intellectual connection, that unique way in which two people recognize each other as something valuable and special. Desire and attraction dance together. Sometimes one leads, sometimes the other, but they always feed off each other. Desire pushes us toward the other, and attraction keeps us attentive, interested, admiring the uniqueness of the other as if they were an irreplaceable work of art. And when this is present, the relationship feels alive, vibrant, authentic. Number 2, reciprocity. A healthy couple moves horizontally, not in hierarchy. There is no one who commands and another who obeys. There is no one who gives everything and another who receives without measure. It is like a constant flow, a dance of mutual care. It is not about counting gestures or words. It is about feeling that what you give comes back, that what you build with the other has an echo. Imagine this. You throw a boomerang made of affection, attention, details, and you know it will return. Not because you demand it, but because you are in a relationship where both understand that caring for the other is also caring for the bond. We are not just talking about sharing tasks or gifts. It is something much deeper. Sharing presence, quality time, real support. When needed, even when no one asks for it. It is a silent agreement of, I am here with you, and you are also here for me. That subtle balance creates a sense of emotional home, where you know you are not alone. 3. Own spaces. Couples that grow together do not do so by being glued together all the time. On the contrary, they do it because they respect each other's individuality, because they understand that a relationship is not an absolute fusion, but a connection between two complete beings. Having your own space does not mean building barriers or distancing yourself emotionally. It's like having your favorite song. You can share it with the one you love, but you also need to listen to it alone, with headphones, just you and your emotions. And that's okay. That personal space is not just physical. It is mental, emotional, spiritual. It is where you think, where you dream, where you reconnect with yourself. It is that internal corner where you can be yourself without needing to explain yourself. When each person in the couple has their own space, the relationship breathes. It renews itself. It enriches itself. It becomes a place where wonder is possible, because not everything is said or predefined. And above all, authenticity is protected. Being a couple does not mean giving up your passions, your ideas, your plans. On the contrary, a healthy relationship celebrates them, because it knows that when one feels free within the bond, the connection becomes even stronger. 4. Admiration. Without admiration, love withers. Admiring your partner is allowing yourself to be surprised by who they are. It's noticing those little things that make that person unique. How they think, how they act, how they solve problems, how they care. Sometimes it's something as simple as how they make you coffee, or how they face a bad day without losing their calm. Other times, it's the generosity with which they treat others, their passion for learning, their sense of humor. To admire is to look with new eyes even when you already know every corner of their being. It's not taking for granted the person next to you, and when you feel that admiration, it shows. Because it makes you want to grow, to be better, inspired by the one in front of you. Admiration keeps the spark alive beyond routine. It's a silent but powerful energy that reminds you why you chose that person and why you would keep choosing them. 5. Sensitivity and delivery. Being truly present means feeling with the other, not just being beside them. Sensitivity is that ability to emotionally tune in, to notice what is happening to the other, even when they don't say it. It's as if you were tuning a special antenna to capture what is moving inside them. You don't need to be a fortune teller, just willing to look attentively, to listen with your heart. And surrender is going all in, not just with the part you like to show. It's presenting yourself wholly, your lights and your shadows, your fears, your desires, your mistakes, and your dreams. It's saying, I am here with you, even if I sometimes tremble. When there is sensitivity and surrender, love becomes a shared melody. There is compassion. There is care. There is real presence. The couple becomes a refuge, a space where emotions do not need to hide, where one can cry without explanations and celebrate without measure. 6. Respect. Respect is the foundation of everything. I'm not talking about superficial courtesy or fear of conflict. I'm talking about a deep, authentic respect. The kind that arises from recognizing the other as a complete, free, different, and valuable being. To respect is to accept the other as they are, without trying to mold them to your measure. It is to honor their timing, their silences, their ways. It is not to ridicule their opinions, even if you do not share them. It is knowing when to speak and when to be silent, when to approach and when to give space. Imagine respect as a silent code of trust and care, as if you were saying, I see you, I hear you, I value you, and I will not use your vulnerabilities against you. This space is safe. When respect is present, differences do not separate, they enrich, because one does not try to impose themselves over the other. There is no power struggle. There is mutual recognition. There is balance. There is dignity. And when that happens, the relationship becomes a place where both can grow, make mistakes, change, without fear of losing love. Because it is understood that love does not demand perfection, but it does demand respect. 7. Communication and honesty. When there is real communication and honesty, the relationship not only works, it shines. Authentic communication is more than just talking. It is connecting. It's like a subtle dance, where every word, every gesture, every silence matters. It's about opening up, sharing what you think, what you dream, what you fear, without the fear of being judged. It's creating a constant bridge between what you feel and what the other needs to hear. And honesty is that firm foundation that holds everything together. It's not just about telling the truth. It's about being true. Showing yourself without masks, even if that means revealing your contradictions, your doubts, or your wounds. It's looking at the other and saying, this is me, can we build from here? It's knowing that you don't have to hide parts of yourself to be accepted. When both can express themselves clearly and listen with their hearts, something valuable appears. Deep trust. That trust that allows you to be vulnerable, knowing that you are not alone. And when that happens, there is no storm they cannot weather together. 8. Humor and a shared way of seeing life. Having a shared vision of life is like tuning into the same emotional frequency. It doesn't mean agreeing on everything. It means understanding where you want to go, how you want to live, what things you value. It's having a common compass, even if sometimes the paths diverge a little. It's knowing that, despite the differences, the destination is shared. That there is an us being built daily, with individual goals that are also celebrated together. And humor. Humor is magic. It's that invisible ingredient that lightens everything. It turns a bad day into an anecdote. It deactivates tensions and brings hearts closer. It's laughing at oneself, at everyday craziness, at shared clumsiness. It's finding joy in the simple, making the ordinary something extraordinary. A couple that laughs together, that can be silly, spontaneous, genuine, is a couple that creates happy memories even in the midst of chaos. Because laughter is unity. It's complicity. It's that silent language that says, I'm here with you in the good and the ridiculous. And in the end, that's what matters. Being able to walk together with purpose and with many laughs along the way. 9. Clear boundaries. Couples that really work also know how to set boundaries. And not because there is something to hide, but because there is a lot to take care of. One of those boundaries is simple, but sometimes difficult to accept. The first of the limits is the lack of evident love. It seems obvious, right? But it's not that simple. There are many people who stay together without loving each other, out of routine, fear, or habit. And that hurts. Disinterest, indifference, that feeling that there is nothing emotionally connecting you to the other are signs that cannot be ignored. It shouldn't be dramatized, but it should be acknowledged. When there is no love, the bravest and healthiest thing is to accept it and move on. Because we all deserve a relationship where there is real affection, mutual attention, and sincere care. The second is self-actualization. Your personal growth is non-negotiable. It is your path, your unique journey, your story. Self-actualization is when you decide to commit to yourself, to what moves you, to what excites you, learning something new, dreaming of projects, growing professionally, exploring your creativity. All of that is part of what makes you shine. And your partner should not dim that light, but accompany you as you make it bigger. Because when you develop as a person, when you say yes to your authenticity, you also enrich and deepen the relationship. The I flourishes, and the we does too. And finally, the principles and values. This is a boundary that should never be crossed. If a relationship asks you to leave behind what is vital to you, what defines you, what makes you feel whole, that relationship, no matter how intense it is, probably isn't right for you. Your values are your compass. If you have to betray them to be with someone, you are losing yourself, and no relationship is worth that. If you look closely, many of these characteristics, respect, honesty, sensitivity, mutual support, also apply to friendships, family bonds, to any meaningful relationship. Because in the end, it's something simple and profound, treating each other well. No one, absolutely no one, has the right to speak to you poorly, to despise you, or to belittle you, neither physically nor emotionally. You are a valuable, unique being, and you deserve to be in relationships where you can grow, be yourself, and feel safe. The love that is truly worth it is the one that embraces you just as you are, and still inspires you to keep growing. Thank you for being here at Psychology for Change, for giving yourself this space, and for allowing yourself to understand, grow, and be. If this content has resonated with you, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell, and share it if you think it can help someone in need. Because here we continue to explore together what transforms us. See you in the next video. Until then, take care.